Beloved within the Seventh-day Adventist Church, beloved in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, this is a very urgent message, very urgent message called We Are Moses' Disciples. A firm stance against the Pharisees who say we are Moses' disciples. Now here recently, David Gates and Arthur Banner came out with a message as of October of last year, 2018, that probation will close in the church, leadership first by March 10th, and close upon the laity, lay members, and lay workers April 24th. And then David Gates said, but if by June, the sons of the law should be here. And if not, praise the Lord because God has given us more time. And much of the church has called him a time setter. Much churches called him a time setter, both David Gates and Arthur Branner. And they're not getting their lives right. But beloved, maybe it hasn't happened because the church is not ready. Maybe just like in 1888, because the church humbled themselves and pray and cry out to God and seek unity, like with Jones and Waggoner's message, Christ can come back during the Blair Bill time, and God allowed World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and Vietnam to hit this country and this world to give us more time to get right with God, beloved. Now, beloved in the Adventist Church, when you go to John chapter 9, and verse 30, as it talks about a man who was healed by Christ for his blindness. And the scribes and Pharisees said, this man's a sinner. Give God the glory because he healed you on the Sabbath, and it's not lawful to work on the Sabbath. So the other members that were there, the other laity in their sense that were there said, how can a man be a sinner if he does such miracles? And the Pharisees said that he cast out devils by the power of Beelzebub. But the man that was blind said, I don't know. All I know is I was born blind and now I see. He said, from the world began, no man could open a man's eyes unless he be of God. And the scribes looked at him and said, what is that to us? They said, the Pharisees and scribes, and he just said to him, what is that to us? We know not whence this man is. We are Moses' disciples. So all the seven of his leadership right now, they rejected David Gates and Arthur Brander's message. They're all basically in saying to us, we are Moses' disciples. We accept the historicist interpretation of prophecy and not dual application and repeating in large. And Revelation 10 says, thou must prophesy again before many nations, tongues, kindreds, and peoples. That's what gives authority to repeat in large. That's what gives authority to dual application, beloved in the Adventist Church. That's what gives authority to repeat in large of 1335-year prophecy, 1290 and 1260, and the dual application of those prophecies. And beloved, it is so sad that our leadership are saying, we are Moses' disciple. We know not whence David Gates and Arthur Branner is. Basically saying these men are casting out devils by the power of Beelzebub. That is not true, beloved in the Adventist Church. That is not true. These men have opened my eyes to my spiritual condition of worldliness and pride and sinfulness and not trusting in God. They have helped me become more serious about my relationship by their message on social media and by a personal example. And now I want to take my life for Christ more seriously and overcome sin and get ready for the latter rain, beloved. Remember, Sister White says in Testimony to Church, Volume 5, page 211, that the ancient men of the house were first to feel the stroke of God, she says. So the ancient men, March 10th, the majority leadership, they've already have received their judgment. And now it's upon the membership to receive this message and go to the first day world, beloved, to give the loud cry and the midnight cry. Now, beloved, if we don't give the straight testimony of the Union Church and State, which my friend David Gates brought out in his sermon, even at the doors, saying that many of our church members and leaders are becoming daughters of a harlot because they're going to kissing up to the man of sin power and taking pictures with the Pope and accepting his apostasies and bringing ecumenical worship and first-day ministers on our pulpits, beloved. Because they're doing that, beloved, they're daughters of a harlot. They're linking themselves with the daughters of a harlot. Now, the church is not Babylon. I don't believe the church is Babylon. But they're linking with daughters of a harlot, meaning them person becoming daughters of a harlot, but the church itself is not Babylon. But beloved in the Adventist church, we need to get ready for God in these last days. We need to finish the work. We need to give the straight testimony, beloved. And what makes it so sad is the Pharisees, the Sanhedrin, the leaders up in the head of the work, may not even believe the message of the voted policies of the General Conference for a revival, reformation, and finish the work. They may be like the Sanhedrin and Caiaphas who say, is it expedient that one man may die for the people and that the whole nation perish, because they want a protection of the Roman civil government. They want a protection from that sick system and not protection from holy angels and finishing the work, beloved. And so because the Jews did not finish work in their time, Christ cannot help them have an end of sins. And in our time, if the Seventh-day Adventist Church as a people, as a body, does not receive the message of revival and reformation, does not receive the message, beloved, of victory over sin, does not receive the message of making an end of sins, beloved, does not receive the message of giving a straight testimony and loud cry to apostate Protestant world and the Laodicea and the straight testimony Laodicea, they will be left behind, and God will use other denominations, the first-day world, to finish the work. You have seen how that Caucasian rebuked Kirk Franklin. He rebuked Kirk Franklin for his apostasy of bringing in hip-hop music and going to BET Awards and involved himself with apostate Protestant ministers. And yet our own people, beloved in the Adventist church, invite him to come upon Adventist pulpits to sing, like Dr. Carlton P. Bird here at Oak University Church. So we're not doing the work of rebuking apostasy like John the Baptist. We're inviting the ecumenical movement and spirit in our church. That man wouldn't even shake Kirk Franklin's hand. We do not need to shake the hands of these apostates. We need to give them a straight testimony. If they want to study with us, let's study with them. That man called him sir in that video that I showed on my page earlier. Call them sir, respect them, but we do not imbibe their apostasies. So Sunday Surge, women's ordination, ecumenicalism, new theology are all wrong. We need to give the straight testimony. We need to preach about the reforms. Don't let anybody shut us up, because if we do that, we've lost our purpose, beloved in the Adventist church. Give the straight testimony. God bless you. Maranatha.